UK property investing, service apartments. Now, service apartments has become a very trendy strategy lately in the UK property market. But what is it? What is actually service apartments? Well, service apartments has become a very exciting strategy because it gives you the ability to get a huge amount of rent in. Your income can go through the roof. So in this video, we're going to look at what are the pros, what are the cons, and why has this become so trendy lately. Welcome to Momentum Property Education. My name is Daniel Wood. I'm one of the founders of Momentum Property Education, and I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Please subscribe to our channel as you will learn more about property investing, what's going on in the overall market, and of course, updates on how you should act now to make sure you make the most amount of money in the safest way possible. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And as a thank you, we will actually plant a tree on your behalf thanks to our partnership with Eden Reforestation Projects. That is something we do every single day. Whenever you like this or any other of our YouTube videos, we plant the tree. So thank you so much for taking the time to go through all of our videos and click like. Anyway, what is service apartments and why is that so exciting? So quickly, what is a service apartment? A service apartment is a property. It doesn't necessarily have to be an apartment. It can be a house, it can be or an apartment, a detached house, whichever. It is when you rent it out short term through, for example, Airbnb or booking.com. So you would, put the property on Airbnb, someone rents it for maybe a week, a couple days, and then you have a cleaning crew come in, clean the property, and someone else moves in. The reason why this is so very popular is because the nightly rates you get off of Airbnb is similar to that what a hotel gets. So if you're getting maybe £200 a night for your property, if you had it filled the entire time, well, that's £6,000 in a month on a property that as a buy-to-let might rent out for £1,000. So as you can see, you get a huge uplift in rent. That's the good part. There are some challenges on the way that we're going to look at, but the good part is you get a great rent in. And this actually follows a trend that's been going on for the past approximately decade in the UK property market. If you go back 10, 12 years, there were basically two property strategies that investors used. It was buy-to-lets, where you buy a property, rent it to a single tenant or single family. Got a video about all what a buy-to-let is and why it's so exciting. And the problem, though, is the rent was very low. The other strategy people used were flips. They would buy a property and sell it, which is still obviously very popular today. They both are. What happened maybe 7 years ago, people started shifting. Instead of doing buy-to-lets, they shifted to HMOs. An HMO is a house of multiple occupancy. Again, we got a video that talks all about this. But basically, you'll have a house or an apartment that you'll rent out by the room. That way, you're getting for the same property, you have multiple tenants paying rent, which means your total rent goes up. This step is an extension of this. People have now turned to service apartments because instead of having multiple tenants at the same time, you have multiple different tenants during the month. This allows you to get an even higher monthly rent. Now, the challenges, though, come on the other side. Well, first off, there's a lot more work, right? You got to give them the keys. You got to pick up the keys. You got to make sure it's cleaned, every week essentially. So there's a lot more work for either if you manage it yourself or for the letting agent that you hire. So if you look at these three strategies, a lettings agency will usually charge you about 10% to run a buy-to-let, 15% to run an HMO, and 20% to run a service apartment. So not only is the rent higher, but they're also getting a bigger percentage. So for the lettings agency, they will get a lot more money in when they're running a service apartment. So from those, in our example there, £6,000 you'd get in a month, they would take 20%, which means £1,200 would go to the letting agency. But that's not all. The marketing costs can be very expensive. Airbnb and booking.com, they take a very high percentage. At the time of this recording, it's 15%. That might have gone up, that might have gone down when you watch this, but that is what it was now at the time of this recording. They also add on a credit card surcharge because the credit card company will charge 1 to 2%. So they add a 3% credit card surcharge that also gets taken off. So if you're paying 20% to your letting agency, 15% to your, for the marketing for Booking.com or Airbnb, plus 3% for the credit card, that's 38% right there. And that's even before paying your utilities, your council tax, your monthly operating expenses, your interest, and other expenses that you'll have around this. So that is the reason why the return obviously still is higher if it's well tenanted, but not as much higher as it would be because of the high costs. Now, there are a couple ways to get this down. One way is to market and get a long-term tenant paying this type of short-term rent. Now, why would someone do that? Well, it might be someone who's just going to stay for a month or two. So instead of booking a hotel for a month, they'll book your apartment. They'll get a slightly lower monthly rate. They might only pay $4,000 a month, but this is essentially then a buy-to-let tenant paying £4,000 a month instead of maybe $1,000 as you would have otherwise, because they're not able to get a contract on for just a month or two. It could also be a company that's renting because they have staff that will come in and it's that same turnover of people, but they will rent it long term. This takes a lot of the pressure off of you. It cuts a lot of the costs. You don't have to go through Airbnb and Booking.com and so on. So there are ways to kind of get these costs down. A follow-up strategy that has happened from this is something that's called rent to rent, where people will rent the property from a landlord and then rent it out using this strategy. Now, we're creating a separate video that you'll be able to find here on our YouTube channel that talks about the good, the bad, and the ugly with rent to rents. So please make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss when that comes out, all right? Cool. So this is why people are doing service apartments. Their rent is much higher. There are more pitfalls. The final thing to remember here is that the banks treat service apartments very differently from how they treat your HMOs and your buy-to-lets. There are regulatory questions as well. So you got to make sure you're being compliant, and you got to make sure that you'll be able to get a mortgage on a property run as a service apartment. Sometimes the interest is a little higher as well. So keep these things in mind. But as you can see with just the gross return, you can understand why this strategy has become so popular. So if you want to learn more about service apartments or other strategies, please check out MomentumPropertyEducation.com. That's our website. You can find all our courses there. If you're just starting out in property investing, we got Momentum Gift for you, which is just MomentumGift.com, where you get a free introduction to property investing, 2 hours going through the details of how you can start investing in property. And please go to MomentumCashflow.club. You can find that on Momentum Property Education. That is if you want to start meeting and networking other people in this industry, you can come to one of our cash flow clubs where you'll play the board game Cash Flow 101, meet other people, and grow your network and your financial intelligence. So again, thank you so much for watching this video. Please click that like button. We really want to make a difference for the world, so we really want to plant as many trees as we can. So click that like button and we will go out and plant a tree on your behalf. Thank you again so much for watching this video, and I will see you hopefully very soon.